So lots of you guys enjoyed my video demonstrating my favorite horse racing strategy, Lay the Field, and I had lots of questions about it. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you some extra tips to help you profit and succeed with this strategy, as it's not as simple as it first looks, okay? Now, if you haven't seen the video demonstrating the strategy, then you can check out the description of this video to check that out first, or also download this full PDF guide which also shows you the strategy step by step. The links to both of those are in the description of this video, so go and grab those and check that out if you haven't done so already. If you've already done that, then let's get into it. So using the Lay the Field strategy isn't as simple as just blindly doing this on every single race and then expecting to make money. You really have to profile the races and only use it on certain races in certain circumstances. So I can't give you all of the secret sauce in this video, but I'm going to give you a few extra tips and hints that should help you go in the right direction with this. So the first tip I'm going to give you is that the shorter the race, the better. That is the kind of general rule of thumb when you're using the Lay the Field strategy. You definitely want the races to be quite short, because the shorter the race, the chance of more horses keeping up with the pace and then you having a blanket finish, which is really what we want with the Lay the Field strategy. 2, 3, 4 horses all going for the line at the same time. So with this in mind, look for races that are going to be less than a mile long. And that usually means they're usually about, is it a minute, 2 minutes in total? But look for races that are going to be less than a mile long, probably a maximum length of 1 mile and 4 furlongs. So with this in mind, it should help you to narrow down the best courses to look for as well. Like I said, I can't give you the secret sauce, but this definitely puts you in the right direction. Moving on. I would also say the more horses involved in the race, the better as well. That is the general rule of thumb when using the Lay the Field strategy, because remember, what we're looking for is volatility in the market, and we just want confusion. We just want the markets to be confused. We want the punters at home and at the course, and that includes the course siders, those who are actually there trading at the course. We want them to be unsure of who is going to win, as this is more likely to lead to those big odd swings that we want. The more horses there are, the more likely this is going to happen, whether it's punters getting mixed up, maybe they get the horses mixed up, their views are obstructed, the camera angle's not great, or they just can't keep track of all the horses at once. No matter what, the more confusion, the better for us. The more in the field, the better. It also gives us more horses to potentially be matched on as well, because if we were laying at something like 1.5, we get 2 horses matched, that's great. But if we get 3 or 4, then we are really in the money. So with this in mind, the more horses, the better, and you really want to try and avoid the small fields of 5 horses or less. Those races are probably not great for the Lay the Field strategy. So you probably want to stay away from those ones. And at the same time, you want to look for competitive races. So obviously, the more horses there are in the field, probably the more competitive it is going to be as well. But we can use the markets to kind of guide us to finding competitive races. This doesn't take a huge amount of research and having a great knowledge of horses and all that sort of thing. If we just look at the markets and we can see that a lot of the horses are very similarly priced, it can indicate that we're probably going to be in for quite a tight race. Let the markets guide us. Let everyone, all the other experts, price up the horses and indicate that it's going to be a competitive field. So you probably want to avoid races where there is a strong out-and-out favorite, because there is a high chance that that favorite is probably going to dominate the race, and the race and the market itself is all going to be about whether that favorite wins or loses. And we're probably less likely to get our blanket finish, the blanket finish that we're looking for. So do avoid strong favorites. Avoid any races that have an odds-on favorite in particular, because these races can easily be dominated by that favorite. They just go ahead and they just don't look back, and it's a one-horse race pretty much. And just look for those fields where we have a lot of horses bunched together in similar odds groups, and then you're one step away from finding a very, very competitive race. Of course, it's no guarantee it's going to be a competitive race, but it's a very, very good indication. And the next thing you definitely want to do is profile the courses themselves. You absolutely need to profile the courses themselves, because every course behaves in a different way, whether it is the camera angle or the amount of sharp punters at particular courses. Nobody's quite sure, but some courses will have a lot more opportunities for later field than others, and it is your job to find those courses. And one way you can do this is to check the time form data that is available on Betfair to look through, and a lot of this data is freely available on the internet if you look around, and you can check out how previous races on a particular course have played out. For example, I could look at Ascot, and I could go and look at some recent races at Ascot, going back last year even, or the year before, and see if there were any low-priced horses which didn't actually go on to win the race. And then I want to see how often that happens, and what the actual setup was when it did happen, whether it was a competitive field, lots of horses, all that sort of thing. That is your job. You need to sort through that data and try and profile each course to see whether it would work or not. Because there are some courses where this literally will not work. It will not work at all. Probably the courses which attract the more sharp punters. So maybe Ascot itself is probably not good at all. I haven't checked that myself. But here's another tip. Sprint races are better than the jumps. Okay, sprint racing. So you definitely want to maybe look at courses which have a lot more sprint racing than have the jumps racing. Okay, but bottom line is, you can't do this blindly. You do need to look at the different courses to find your angle and then to find your edge. But let me show you a few real life clips with a few more extra tips thrown in also. So this is a sprint race. There is no jumps in this one. And these sorts of races are a lot more conducive to a later field trade, because they're usually pretty competitive. This one, not so much, with two horses racing away. But we've got it lined up anyway. We're going to try and lay every horse at 1.5 and see what happens here. But yeah, as they come into the straight now, this is where it can get really competitive. And you can see this one, number 7, Elijah Annette. Just want a bit of pressure on that horse. It's going to be a tight finish. And then did we get it? Yeah, we got it. Very, very tight finish there. That was pretty intriguing. So yeah, as you saw, Elijah Annette went pretty low there. Let's have a look at that. Down to 1.10. Down to 1.10. But that is why, I mean, that's a pretty good example, I think, of why the sprints are a lot better, a lot more conducive to the later field, because they can be such tight finishes like that. In the jumps, it seems that you don't get those tight finishes as often as you would get it in the sprints, because they're a lot longer race, and usually by the end there's just one horse just running away with it. But yeah, quick later field in there. As you saw, Elijah Annette was pipped to the post, traded down to 1.10, and we got matched, and we've in the end made £50 profit on that horse there, Starling. So we have a race here which looks like it could be pretty competitive, because we've got two favourites. Well, we've got one favourite, but they're very close in odds, as you can see. Magic in Motion and Soaring Now. And just while the prices have been moving before the off, they keep going closer and closer in odds. So we've got two favourites right at the front of the market, and then obviously we've got all the other horses competing as well. So when you have a race which you feel is going to be extra competitive, you could put in later fields at 2 rounds of prices. So you can see what I've done here. I've gone in laying every horse at 1.5, but I'm also going to try and lay every horse at 1.25 as well, because if you have a feeling that it's going to be extra competitive, then getting 2 of these matched, 1.25 and 1.5, can be some very, very nice bonus profits, and it could be a nice approach to take. So as you can see, every horse is laid at 1.5 and every horse is laid at 1.25. Now obviously our potential risk goes up. It means if we don't get anything matched and there's a strong winner, then we're going to lose £75 instead of the £50 that if we were just laying at 1.5. But of course, the profit potential rises. Okay, if we get a few of these matched, we could be looking at a nice jackpot style win. So let's see what happens. This race is just about to start. I'll give you an update very, very shortly. So we're underway in this race, and it was a bit of confusion because I did say there were two strong favourites, and one of those favourites was just taken out of the race just right before the start. So kind of messed up the plan a little bit, and I'm just going to let the bets run anyway, because this is all just for demo purposes. So let's see if we can catch a later field. But that is definitely something you have to be aware of. If you are new to horse racing, that something like that can happen, and it can kind of throw everything out of whack. So yeah, definitely do be aware of that. So you can see now that we just got matched on Soaring Now, and we're matched on both of them now with Soaring Now. So we need some sort of challenge, and without the other horse, it could be well. We might not get the challenge that we want, but let's see. We're heading into the business end now, and this is where the other horses can really push. And Saint Attorney has been matched 1.25. That was a bit of a crazy end. So yeah, I mean, we got matched on that one, and then we made the bit of the extra money there. So we made £125 on Saint Attorney. Soaring Now was the favourite. Very competitive end to that one, and kind of annoying that we didn't get the other horse involved, because that could have really been a great finish to that one. But let me just quickly see 1.02, a 1.02 shot. You just saw beaten there in that race. So yeah, very good. And of course, we profited from that. We got it matched at 1.25 and 1.5 on Soaring Now, and then Saint Attorney went and won, and we walked away with 125 profit. So very good, and just shows what you can do. You can lay at multiple stages with later field as well. So it's a bit more of an advanced tip. Okay, so there you go. There you have it. A nice winning trade on later field on that one. And so, of course, one approach you can take is to wait and see if the race itself looks pretty competitive in play, and then pull the trigger in play, as we're going to do here with two horses really battling out there. So we just put the bets in the market. Sorry, I'll keep losing my stream there. All right, there we go. So anyway, horse number 4 is out ahead, You Zip It, and it's looking pretty competitive. Two horses coming up there. Maybe horse number 5 can get in the mix as well. So anyway, let's see what happens here. Let's see which horse gets matched first. And I've gone in all at 1.5. And it's looking like it's going to be a pretty tight finish to this. There's 3 horses there. Maybe there's a 4th. So let's see what happens. River Liberty gets matched first, but this could be a tight finish. We just got matched on Combine Road, and it's gonna be Combine Road that wins it in the end. Okay, so anyway, very interesting race. But honestly, I think that probably one of the best ways to do lay the field is to wait for the race to start. When it gets about halfway, see how competitive it is. I mean, if there's a horse running away with it, there's not really much point of getting involved. But if it's looking competitive, then you get involved and just pull the trigger. It's a lot easier to do with software than to do on the Betfair interface, which is why a lot of people usually do this with software. But yeah, I think that's probably the best tip of all that you're going to get in this video. If you're going to do later field, watch the pictures, wait for the race to get competitive, and then get in. And it's as simple as that. If you do it blindly, you're probably not going to be profitable in the long term. So there it was, a successful later field, very competitive race in the end. Very tight finish as well. So yeah, good stuff, and we made a profit out of that one. And I would definitely say that that final tip right there is probably one of the best ways to try and find an edge with the later field strategy, especially these days as the markets get more and more efficient. So do keep that in mind and give it a go yourself. Do keep the stakes low, of course. Now, of course, if you haven't got this already, if you haven't actually got the guide, then just click the link in the description to download it. It's the free PDF of the strategy. You can follow it step by step and then run your own experiments in the market. I do think you're going to have a lot of fun messing around with this strategy, even if you've got no interest in the racing itself, okay? So link is in the description. It is absolutely free to download, so you can't really go wrong, okay? Now, if you're new to this channel, you haven't yet done this, do definitely hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you want more videos on this particular subject and you want to get them straight away. Make sure you do that. Also on the screen, there should be some new videos to check out that you haven't already checked out. Check those out and I'll see you in the next video.